Hello, Bart with Bicycle Rider YouTube, and today we're going to be talking about the 2020 Roubaix. This is a Specialized Roubaix. This is Specialized's endurance road bike, but I also want to say it is a race-bred endurance road bike. So don't let the endurance part of the name of this bike fool you into thinking it's just a sleeper. This is a fast racing machine, but just happens to have a little bit of compliance built into it. And when I say a little bit, maybe a little bit more than most bikes, and that's because Specialized has engineered something called the Future Shock. And what the Future Shock, it gives you a little bit of compliance in the frame, like a little bit of suspension, but what this is, it suspends the rider and not the bike. So you don't have a complicated suspension system, heavy suspension system that needs a lot of maintenance. What you have is just a very small piece of this bike, so it's nice and light, and it just does give you a little bit of compliance when you're going over the rough stuff. And when I say rough stuff, people say, well, I'm buying a road bike, I'm going to ride smooth roads. Well, I'm sorry, this is 2020, and unless you live in a very specific parts of the country, most of the roads we ride are tattered and torn, especially if you try to get away from the cars. So just know that this bike can handle the chip seal. This bike was actually made to handle Paris-Roubaix, the cobblestones, and that's what they race this bike in the Tour de France. And so it is really built like a brick shithouse. The way this bike is, it's a all carbon fiber frame. This is a 10R carbon fiber frame, very nice carbon fiber fork, and we're talking about Specialized fat carbon. So this is some really nice carbon engineering, and this bike was actually built and engineered with a free-form tubing and a wind tunnel. So it is a very aerodynamic frame. In 2020, you know, this frame is got a D-ring basic seat post. The seat post actually has a bit of compliance built into the seat post, and the seat post clamp is hidden down in the frame here. And with the seat post clamp being low, it does allow this seat post to actually have quite a bit of compliance in it. So not only do you have a very balanced ride as far as having the suspension in the front, a seat post in the back that moves a little bit, and with all this moving compliance, you still get a very ultra stiff bottom end, and the bottom bracket in a Specialized bike is very, very stiff. Look at some of their bikes like the Venge and the Tarmac. These guys know how to build bikes. They know how to build fast bikes. They know how to build bikes that are very efficient. So when you're talking about the biggest component against a rider is the wind drag. Even though this is a endurance bike, this is a bike that really is very aerodynamic. This bike here, like I said, is the Roubaix. It's the base Roubaix, so it starts at $2,200. And for $2,200, you get a bad machine. This bike can handle a lot. It comes stock with 28 millimeter tires, so that's a very nice tire. But it can go up to 33. You put 33s on a bike like this, you can pretty much ride it anywhere. It's not going to be quoted as a gravel bike, but I do know plenty of guys who ride this bike on the gravel and they say it works fantastic. It's definitely tough enough. With 33 millimeter tires, you got quite a bit of tire. I ride this bike on the road with 33 millimeter tires. I have no problem keeping up with most of the B groups as far as keeping an average speed 20, 21, 22, and I do it very comfortably on this bike. So this bike, it can handle multiple things very well. Being the base model, and like I said, $2,200, you're going to get a Tiagra Groupset. And this is a 10-speed Tiagra Groupset with a practice work crank. And, you know, they do have a cold forge, you know, system here that it is very stiff. It also has it's a timing to it. So it just seems like this is very rock solid. With 10 speeds and the trickle-down technology that you get with the Shimano group sets now, this 10-speed really rides very, very good. And I'm saying 10 in the back, 2 in the front, so you really get 20 gears out of this thing. And this, you know, even at this level, you're not getting missed shifts. I can ride this bike pretty hard in the gravel, even up and over, you know, some of the bridges we have here in town. and I hammer this bike under some pretty rigid conditions, and even under full force shifting gears, I don't get this bike to misshift. So, you know, at the bottom end, you still get this very, very clean frame. Internal cable routing, the way they've done this is beautiful. The shifting system on it works good. The practice cranks are awesome for the money. You do get a Tiagra, full Tiagra disc brake system. So you get a full hydraulic disc brake system that keeps things nice and clean. You don't have to worry about corrosion getting into cables. It's just a rock solid bike for the money. It's got a very nice cockpit. I don't know if you can see the rays on this, but it was called Specialized Hover Bar, and they've, you know, I really do like the hover bar. I'll even put it on some of my other bikes because it's just such a comfortable bar. And the levers and the cockpit just feel really good. It's got a nice flat spot here. Nice comfortable levers. I mean, for $2,200, you could buy this bike and not feel bad riding with any group out there. Of course, you know, when you're talking about A group rides and guys that are on $10,000, $12,000 bikes, that's friggin' awesome. You might be out biked at that point, depending on what kind of rider you are. But I personally am going to put this bike in all those situations. I'm going to do a long-term test ride with this bike because it's going to be my new road bike for this year. And I'm going to try to ride with the A group. I already rode with the B group and the C group. This is a great bike for any of that, even when I want to go faster, but the group's kind of, I don't want to split up the group. I want to be more social. I can be comfortable on this bike. I'm 50 years old now. I love speed. I love banging bars with all the guys. But sometimes, you know, I want to do it in a little bit more comfortable way, and the Specialized Roubaix lets me do that. Even when I do a century ride, 100-mile ride, something like that, I like to be more comfortable. I'm not trying to split up the group anymore. I want to socialize, and this bike lets me do that. But if I do want to hammer, believe me, this bike is fast, and it does not hold me back. So I'm going to put this bike on the scale, and one of the reasons we're able to get the scale is because YouTube is starting to rank us a little bit, and they only do that when you hit the subscribe button. So if you don't mind hitting subscribe for us, it doesn't cost you anything, and it just lets YouTube know that you guys are watching the channel. So let me put this bike on the scale. Of course, it's just with some plastic pedals on it, and we are right out of the box at 21 pounds. 21 pounds exactly. And this is for the base level Roubaix. So just know, you know, for $2,200, you get a lot of bike, and you get a lot of tough bike. I am beating the snot out of this bike, and it just keeps giving back. It keeps putting a smile on my face. I can't say enough good about this base level Roubaix. I've put a lot of punishment through this bike with the access rims completely stock, and this bike just keeps making me smile. Like I said, I'm doing a long-term review on this bike because this is a bike that I'm going to be riding myself. And if you have any questions on the 2020 Roubaix, just know you can ask us. This one's in Rocket Red. Of course, I like Rocket Red, but they do have a kind of a cast battleship blue that is really cool. And of course, we're talking a 56 compared to a 52. But you know, just a really cool bike, really good components. Rock solid performer, very clean, very modern. Specialized has put a lot of tech into, you know, making this bike, you know, perform the way it does, and they do it very comfortably. So, you know, if you're looking for one bike that does a lot of things, you can ride road, you can touch the gravel with it, you can do urban with it, and it'll keep you comfortable and still not slow you down. Specialized Roubaix is fantastic. Thank you.